Yeah, still suck at it. Good thing is I can't hear you, so I don't even have to care. Yeah, good thing I can't hear you, so I don't even have to care. This your boy H from Ace Corner Talk. Unity, no hate. Let's get it. On everybody know it's about unity. And it's by turning into a spinning ball. You're full of shit. I know you're not. I got a truck.
No, you guys can try. You cannot ban him. He is an asshole naturally.
Somebody got banned already?
Can't be blocked because they are naturally just assholes.
Wow. Damn.
Can't help him. But I'm always uniform.
All right. Note this next time. Make sure I keep the mic on mine. You guys figure out you guys were muted the whole time?
You breaking up.
Yeah, baby. That's all I hear. Sound like you calling ET or something.
You hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. You just keep breaking up.
Well, you know what? Nothing's fucking perfect.
We know.
Hey, ma'am. Oh, ma'am.
And at least
It's
I had
all
music.
good. Have a Snickers, bro.
It may not have sounded good, but at least it was going. You guys are loud as fuck.
You're not shooting your home.
Did you boost up the stream?
Yeah, I adjusted the satellites.
There you go. Not you when you're hungry, Sean.
I'm very hungry. Shut the fuck up.
Not you.
All right.
I'm trying to get a
Wait, we got Cynics in the building?
Who?
Boy, Cynics, where is he at? Dude that does a stream. He usually stops by.
Yeah, I can't see the chat, so
Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, nobody can see the chat but the midget. Damn it.
I see the chat. I don't see no Cynics, though. Because if he's here, he has to come in. He's a good dude.
Where does he stand?
He's actually like a conspiracy denier. He'll deny any conspiracy you tell him. Period. but he's cool though. He's cool.
Really? You say he deny anything that is? I mean, he don't believe nothing.
Man, it's pretty rough to get him to believe anything. He don't believe when I tell him that man-made weather and all that.
Oh man, he's that's a shame. Must suck to be him.
Oh yeah. Hey Darth, seeing how you're not gonna be able to say shit until another 60 seconds, why don't you figure out if you want to debate or not, like you were saying, or you a bitch about it.
Who's that?
You're in my world now, bitch. This dude named Dart and Tanner, they're part of one of the MMA channels I listen to.
Oh, they're afraid to get up on this panel, though, huh?
They don't really know. I don't know if they even know much about the globe. They just have customly found out that I was a flat earther. And first of all, they go to a MMA live stream that basically everyone talks shit. Is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Everyone talks shit. Snowstream. Not sure if you knew it or not, but I'm a flat earther. Pretty much everyone with the blue wrench is a flat earther. And if you don't believe it, and you like to prove your globe or disprove my flat Earth, you can try. Darth, if you want to come in and be not an asshole. We don't need any MMA assholes tonight. And yourself and
step up and be
try to
heard.
convince us otherwise.
Just like that.
That ain't gonna come up on the panel.
Yeah, so that would be happening.
Who let Wiley on the panel?
Out, don't block.
What the?
MMA crew that I'm telling you about now, they're complete assholes. That's just how they roll.
Cause he sound crazy,
I can't.
dog.
I can't.
Yo, I don't know what the hell you just said.
Let me get my other microphone.
Yo, Sean, say A-E-I-O-U and sometimes Y.
Yeah, he was saying something. And what the brother is trying to say? Do you know what he was trying to say?
Hell no.
Oh.
He was saying something about
I know he's talking about that dude or whoever this dude is, but yeah, I don't know.
him and his midget buddies.
Oh damn! Here you go.
Now, Dre, you
All right,
know
guys,
I cannot resist the moment.
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes,
now.
there you go.
Yeah, Lewis, get the fuck up out of my fucking chat, you fucking loser.
Lewis Hackett. Is that the dude you're talking about?
Lewis? Nah, he's a fucking Tim wannabe.
No,
He's
is
like
it that Lewis? Is it that Lewis Hackett dude though? Is that who you talking about?
Yeah. The second in command bitch of the Muppet Babies.
Yeah, he's a jerk off. I don't like that guy.
Oh, so you want to come on in? Hey, Darth, do you want to do this or not? Otherwise, I will boot your ass and I'll unban you later. Your next reply should be yes or no. Otherwise, get the fuck out. You're in my world. But anyway, how you guys doing?
Oh man.
I didn't talk to you all day, Jay.
Yeah, I've been at work. Then I had to go do stuff. Then I got home finally.
The only good part of my day is when in the chat range and I got dog.
Oh yeah. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me.
And
Mr. Batman.
And so I went over a live stream where she. So Dre, how you doing, man?
Oh my god, I'm good, man. I'm chilling, bro. I'm just chilling. Just chilling.
You done, Jay?
I got one more in me.
Good. You hit that button when you're ready. And I'll know when you're ready.
Yeah, Sean, you steady,
right.
You steady breaking up, bro, man. I'm like, yo.
You can change back up to again. God damn.
What?
That man is a backup dancer.
Whoa. I don't know.
I'm not using my shit again, though.
Right now. It's any fucking better.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you sound fine. It's just, your signal comes and goes. Just, in and out.
Well, that's because you guys don't believe in fucking satellites.
I didn't hear what you said. My bad. Y'all think you broke up again, bro? Oh shit!
Make him throw his computer out the window.
You guys are such fucking assholes.
Yo, I'm saying I'm trying to, I'm trying to be, whatever, bro. I'm just saying you just keep breaking up.
All right, is that any better?
You too loud now.
Yeah, exactly. Stupid ass. I meant to be. Just remember, I'll turn this all the way fucked up.
So you don't want this work. You don't want the work.
Okay, all right, I'm done. All right, so let's be serious now. What's up, Sarah? Our token, the token Glover.
Oh, Barry, the token Glover.
Hey, yeah, oh, did you know that? Dred's called him the token Glover. I'm as happy as shit about it.
Damn. Hey, that's what's up. That's yeah. That's
talking about Smeagol.
You keep talking shit.
What you mean?
What you mean? What you mean?
Hey, look. Shut
Sarah,
up,
my boy. Hey, he broke some shit down to me on the stream the other day. Hey, that's a smart motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when it comes to debate, no, not at all. I don't think I've ever really heard him debate.
Nah, he said he don't have to debate because he'll just post the video. He can just post the video. He don't have to debate. Something like
I do like style because he'll debate without even talking.
Wait, did you say you like his style because he'll debate without talking?
Yeah.
kind of
What?
shit is that?
Yeah.
What?
Okay. Have you ever heard him debate? I said that one time.
I have, kind of, sort of.
Yeah,
He
kind of, sort of.
The meteor,
but
he tried to.
That's just how he rolls.
No, I don't see it as that's how he wrote. I see that he's scared. Because remember when he tried to debate Dredd, he tried to keep it on that same topic as the meteor. He didn't want to go anywhere else. He was like, I just want to debate the meteor.
I remember. I definitely remember because he tried to use me as part of his little thing. And it was like, hey, wait, I don't think exactly like you. Damn. Can't come up in here using me and shit. It don't make no damn sense.
Yeah, Sarah cool, but he know he gonna get body bag. That's why he don't want to go to anything else other than that meteor, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. He know he gonna get body bag. Talk
To bigger and better things, seeing how I've called out a few people and nobody wanted to come on in. So Dre,
I see Gary never showed up.
Man, that dude is a bitch. So this morning he hits up the chat like I'm the bitch for not showing up. And then he goes, so what happens is he was supposed to be here. We got off about 10:30, 11. I go in the back chat and I look and he has a message for me saying to meet him somewhere else. And it was at some other fucking channel to prepare. And that wasn't the plan. The plan was come here before we start the stream, set everything up, get everything situated, how we're going to do this and everything, and then we start. This dude was like, I sent you a message. I said, I didn't get no fucking message. I got home, I started the stream up and waited for you, and you didn't show. Jay saw it. He said, man, this dude is like a fucking girlfriend that you just don't want to ever talk to. It's like they just keep going until you just go, okay, you're right. But I wasn't going to do that shit. So basically, he tried to make me feel like it was my fault for a good hour until I just kept making him realize, dude, you're a bitch, and you're not going to make it seem like it's my fault. First of all, you don't change the location of a debate that's been agreed upon 2 hours before. And you don't tell somebody it's their fault because they didn't show up at some place they didn't even know they were supposed to show up at. I said,
ignorance is no excuse.
Yeah, I said, Gary, where did we agree to meet at? And he goes, well, I sent you a message. No, dumbass. where the fuck did we agree to do this at? Your channel? Okay, then what the fuck do you expect me to go somewhere else for? Then this motherfucker finds a moderator that has to have total fucking power. So,
Oh no,
base,
we know that.
so basically, he goes, well, the moderator wants to be able to control the panel. No problem. I'll give him the controls. Then, fucking, all of a sudden, he goes, no, the moderator wants to do it on his Hangouts, so he can control the whole thing. I said, no, wait, we're doing this shit on my channel. And he goes, no, we can do it on your channel, but he wants to control the Hangout. Dude, I'm not letting somebody have control over my shit. This is my channel. We agree to be here. Let's go. So blah blah blah. Fucking, we end up like having actually a decent, like not even a decent conversation because all I did was talk about fucking gravity. But it was
That's his favorite favorite subject, and you don't have a clue.
So it's like, okay, well, you're not gonna yell at me. First of all, this ain't. I don't give a fuck. That's first. So basically, I told him, hey, I'm not gonna fucking say another word until you lower your fucking voice. And that took about 10 minutes. And then we're having a conversation about gravity. And like, he thinks I'm like learning something, but I'm letting him just talk to see how dumb he really is. He's convinced that it is proven gravity. Gravity is proven. No ifs and buts about it. That's all there is to say. So I let it go. I said, okay, you know what? Maybe he's scared to have a debate with all these people. So I said, okay, how about this? Me and you, we'll do a one-on-one. I'm going to stream it, though, one-on-one. And that way, you don't have to worry about no one, talking shit in the chats. We don't have to worry about finding some fucking moderator. Because I told him, hey, I'll have Ant do it. He's a good moderator. He's like, no, last time he was a moderator, he added in. It's like, dude, you're a bitch. So I did the one-on-one thing. He was supposed to, first of all, we didn't plan anything, but he was supposed to hit me up after he got off work to do the damn thing. Guess who hasn't shown up? Who hasn't said shit? And just so he understands, if he does hear this, I'm not going to run around YouTube and fucking Google looking for his stupid ass to debate. I called his ass out. I told him where I am.
Chasing on the internet.
Yeah. It's like, I left a message here. I'm like, bitch, I'm not running around looking for your dumb ass.
Yeah, that's just crazy how you going to chase somebody around on the internet.
Yeah, no, not going to happen. Fuck that. As far as I'm concerned, Gary's scared, and until he shows differently, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Got him.
Gary from SpongeBob.
And then he tried that whole global debate shit, and he was like, no, man, we're not doing that. What we're going to do is you're going to try to prove the flat earth, and I'm going to debunk it. I'm like, no, wait. First of all, you're going to prove it to me you live on a fucking globe. That's not a debate. Okay, well, first of all, check this out. I don't think you live on the globe, but if you don't live on the globe and you're trying to prove me wrong, what the fuck do you live on?
Yeah, he's misguided.
And I'm giving him the benefit. I'm actually looking at my mail right now just to make sure he hasn't, because I really want to fucking, such a bitch.
Yeah, he just popped up out of nowhere and shit.
It's fucking arrogant. Like, who the fuck are you? I gotta call him like a garbage man from now on.
He probably like a notch or two below Madonna, or above. I don't know, one or the other.
No, Madonna at least can stick around. You know what I mean? He's still there. He's asking himself.
Oh, shit.
All right, so maybe we can
man.
try to figure out this whole live stream and shit, so I can actually be decent at it.
Yeah,
good job,
bro.
I don't know why Jay said that. Talk shit.
How? I said good job.
Yeah, but I know what you really meant. And I know what you want to say, but if you say that shit, I'm gonna boot your ass.
Say what?
Don't worry, I'm not gonna boot you. Not yet. I'm gonna wait for the right moment for that shit. This motherfucker basically wants me to fucking, you know, a little message for Gary in his little fucking Google place. Make sure I add a few bitches, assholes, and cunts.
Sean,
All right, watch this. Don't pussy out. Hurry your ass up and get here.
Sean,
I don't want to type that fast.
I have a question.
He ain't coming, man.
Why do you have a G next to your name?
That's my last bitch.
He got so defensive.
You're a bitch. You know that, right? Just say
You are a midget, good sir.
no. You are a space kangaroo.
Sean. Not a G.
You man. I'm happy I invited Dre.
Shit.
So when I do what I'm about to do, I don't have to worry about that shit.
Yo.
But anyway, so we want to do this giant tree talk now, man.
Giant tree talk. Yeah,
In a minute, huh? Oh, Jay's gonna fuck with you if I. All right, stop.
I'm not doing anything.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Nicholas, he's about as tall as me, but I believe he may be a little wider than me.
Who?
You. I asked you your weight, and you were like 160, 170, 180, 90, and kind of you jumped around a little bit.
I don't know. I haven't weighed myself recently.
Yeah, you know what that means, right?
What?
That means you must be big boned.
You said I must be what?
Big boned. You know, you got big bones. That's what loving mothers tell their kids.
Listen, donut boy.
Donut boy. That's not funny. Try again.
No, it's a new nickname I'm working on. I gotta find you a name other than midget.
Yeah, because you definitely have to do some work.
Oh no, midget works. I just want to find something different, you know. Midget.
So Dre, I was thinking, me and you should do live streams.
What's up, man?
I was gonna do it with the asshole over here, but obviously he's too big and I can't have a conversation with him on a regular basis. But anyway, I want to do this. I want to talk about.
Stay at it.
That's his fault.
Nah.
I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting he's 12 years old, and I got to stop fucking playing with him.
Hey, Prince.
Hey, Prince. Let me tell you something, Prince.
Nope, that's mine. I already used it.
What? Okay. Anyway, hey, Dre's bedtime soon. Gotta stop. So we're gonna talk about these silica trees.
You better respect your elders.
You ain't that much older. Anyway,
I got you by like 10.
Hey, so what I think I'm gonna start working on is a flat Earth map.
Okay.
Map.
What the hell?
What are you gonna do? Draw it, or are you gonna like build it?
No, I'm gonna draw it out, but I'm gonna draw it out though. I pretty much got a good. Damn. I pretty much got a good grade about a 5-mile radius of where I'm at right now. So I definitely have the right scales to do it. And then basically I just need to calculate all these numbers and start calculating where flight plans and times and speeds are. Can't use direction. But I was
Is this like a localized map?
No, it's gonna be the world. Who the fuck gave this to me? I think Legendary passed it along to me. Um, basically, this dude he's a flat earther, and I guess he's made up like 4 or 5 different types of maps, and
I think I know who you're talking about.
I mean, the way he breaks it down and how to do it is a good part.
Oh, okay.
But I think that'll be my next little project on it. Yeah.
I'm over making. I want to make the whole system.
But how? I can.
The sun, the moon, all of that. I don't know how, but I want to. And it's. I mean, it can be done.
Well, see, oh, I definitely can. I'm just fucking with you. The thing is to see. I just can't grab onto a dome. No matter how I think about it, it just doesn't make any sense for there to be a dome.
Why not?
How does it?
Because if there was a dome and there was water above it, and the sun was local, you would see a shine on above the sun.
That's false.
How's that false?
Well,
okay. During the day, I'll let you take this one, Jay. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say if the sun is actually being projected from a different source and it's not actually physical, I mean, that could pretty much kind of squash that right there.
Well, doesn't the sun project light in all directions though? Whether it's the direct sunlight, but doesn't it light up in all directions?
Let me get him on that.
It does as far as up, down, left, and right, 360 degrees, but that doesn't necessarily mean behind it. We've never seen behind the sun, so we don't necessarily know that it's actually a three-dimensional object.
Okay, but if it's a dome, then behind it has nothing to do with. Does it? If it would definitely reflect off the top of the dome in front of it.
I don't think I get what you're saying. What's that have to do with the sun?
If you shine a flashlight in the room, the roof, the floor, everything around that light's still going to be lit up. So if that's the case, then how does it would not see the shine on the dome?
Basically, the dome is impenetrable. I believe is made of different elements than what we have on Earth.
You guys are breaking up.
Yeah, you sound like a robot now, Jay. All that shit.
Yeah, I was about to say before him, it was you.
Basically, what I said was it could be less reflective and it could be made of less reflective materials, like not like the materials we have on Earth.
It doesn't necessarily mean it's physical in the sense of like actual glass or something.
Right.
Well, that's what I believe. It's go ahead. My bad.
I think if anything, it's probably more likely electromagnetic energy of some sort, or it could be, technically, the air that we breathe is just another form of a fluid or liquid.
Okay, then we're pretty much me and you are pretty much on the same page because I believe it more of a the atmosphere and space being the barrier. The two sections being what defines what they believe is a barrier.
But like I still wouldn't be able to grasp yours, Sean, because I still can't get. Okay, now with yours, do you believe that the sun and the moon are on the inside of this?
No.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. I can't grasp it being 93 million miles away, but I know it's not that close.
See, now I tend to think just because, particularly with the moon, what if there actually somehow this projection is I'm not even gonna say that. I'm just gonna keep that to myself.
My other reason is for it to be. I don't think it's a projection. I've seen telescope close-ups of the moon, and it's not see-through. The maybe the 2 or 3 different pictures of the moon with quote unquote stars you can see through them. I think that's just camera. I mean, I've been taking a lot of pictures the past few months, and there's a lot of the type of anomalies that do happen in taking pictures. I got a
You know,
picture
you
that
sound
looks like a
like
spaceship, and it was me taking a picture of a star, and just a small shake made it do it. So just things happen. But I think once someone,
Yeah, but these photos and these videos you see with the star behind the moon, though, they're actually crystal clear
right.
images. There's no shake. You can see that the camera was still when these photos were taken. Uh, and I think that phenomenon is something that actually occurs. And if you look at like the Islamic flag, it shows these phenomena. It's got the crescent moon with the star, and it also shows a partial eclipse. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at that flag's telling you a lot of stuff about the heavens. All three of the major religions are based in astrotheology, meaning the deities or gods or whatever you want to call it are all based off of astrological movements. So it's all the same shit.
Yeah, I think it's
that's also,
China's flag too that shows the stars through the moon or something.
yeah, you're right. No, yeah,
Now when I hear about clouds and stuff behind the moon and the
okay.
sun or whatever, then I kind of look at that a little bit like I don't know about that.
See, again, I have pictures that do it, and I'm not convinced enough when I look at them to say that's what's happening. Because again, it's just the way you see it. I think yeah, me and Jay were talking about it, or who was? Yeah, I think it was me and Jay. Yeah, me and Jay were talking about it yesterday. Also off of the stream, how the brain works. It's
Hmm.
not. It's nothing like you when everybody works this way. When you look around, you're not seeing everything 100% how it really is. When you look over to your side, 180 degree or 90 degrees to your side right away, your mind projects what it thinks it sees.
You mean what you see in your peripheral vision?
No, in general, period. So whatever you're staring at right now, right, that's right ahead of you, that's
Mhm.
your perception of it. To someone else, it's not going to look completely different, but red may be a different tinge of red. Uh, White may be a different tinge of white.
Or
You may
just the
see,
angle?
yeah, exactly. You may see something in the corner of
Okay,
your eye because your
right.
brain sees it, not
Now, with people who think that the moon is spherical in shape, how come you don't witness that phenomena with the moon? How come people that are to the extreme left and right of the moon don't see the features slightly different? It looks exactly the same as it does to everybody else.
and
If that
that's why I
if
think
that was a sphere, you would
but
see
that's why
some slight change.
not if it's that far. That's why I don't believe it's that close. Because if that was the case, if it was that close, everyone would see everyone south of the hemisphere would see it differently. I mean, completely
How
different. You would
far
see
how far away do you think the moon is?
23, 20, 23, 9, 23.9 sounds like a decent fucking distance for the size it's supposed to be.
What do you mean 23.9? What's
23,
that?
239,000 miles away. That
Okay.
seems more reasonable for the size it's
Now,
supposed to be.
you've seen footage of a P900.
Yes.
Do you think that camera is capable of zooming in 2,900 and some odd feet and giving those vivid
Whoa,
close
whoa,
up
whoa.
pictures?
It is able to focus. It is able to zoom in enough and focus enough for you to get a clear shot of what it's able to see. So just like I understand how a telescope works, it zooms in just enough. So what a P90 can do isn't as close as you think it is when it zooms in like that. And then for the same situation, don't you think if you zoomed into a hologram image with the P90, you would be able to see like easily see through it? And if the moon was had its own
not
light
not
source,
not necessarily, and I use the flat screen television to kind of make this point. Like I said before, when you look at your flat screen television, you know that that's not a truly a three-dimensional object, but yet you see a world that looks like you can step into it and interact with it, textures, colors, shadows, shades, and the whole nine. It's not really three-dimensional, and I think the same thing applies to the moon. Uh, and I understand what you're saying with the ability of the camera. It's just bringing the image closer to you and magnifying it. I get that, but for something to be 240,000 miles away for it to bring it that close, I don't. Even with the stars, like what's the closest star to us? They say it's like I don't know what, 3 or 4 light years away. Do you
see,
actually?
that's the thing.
How?
You can't tell how far a star is. I don't
Well, I'm
understand.
just saying, but this is what they tell us though. But
Yeah.
but then when we look up into the sky and we see these stars, do you actually believe that the human eye is capable of perceiving something like 3 light years away? It's-
I don't
nah,
believe they're that far either. But at the same time, if you look through any telescope, period, and you look at a star, you see the light,
it
but you
looks
do
like
not see
it
it.
looks like a light twinkling behind some water.
Yeah, but you don't see source. So to find a distance is impossible.
Well, I'm just using the distances that they give us.
Oh no.
When
I know.
when they tell us stars.
I'm just saying that for anybody to say that it's whatever that far away, it doesn't make sense. And then when it comes to being in water, the issue I have with that is how come theoretic planets don't don't move and twinkle the same way,
How come the planets don't twinkle like the stars? Is that what you're saying?
or vice versa. No, yeah. So how come planets when they say look at you can see planets? So like in the morning you see Venus.
Hmm.
It doesn't twinkle like a star does. It doesn't shine. Doesn't do that flickering thing like a star does.
Right.
If it was in water, wouldn't it do the same thing?
Well, if it's in a different location, like and I'll just reference, not that I don't really get down with the Bible like that, but it's a good reference when it says that the stars were within the firmament and the wandering stars or the planets were inside the firmament. So they're two different locations. The planets would be located within the so-called uh, dome somehow, I guess is what they're saying, and the stars would be within the firmament. Like I know you're probably familiar with the star in a jar. So
Yeah.
if somehow the firmament is I don't know, contains water within it as well as above it, who knows? I don't know. And everything that's lit up somehow is activated through sonoluminescence or through sound waves. Yeah,
Now
whatever. Anything's possible.
the problem I have with that part is okay when we shoot take balloons up and we do see that flat plane still. Um, why don't
Hmm.
we see why don't we see stars at all?
I,
Especially why don't you? So
I,
if
w- I would say because the way that the stars are set up, you can only view them from the surface of the Earth looking up. Whatever the angle that the light is coming down, it's not perceivable at that angle when you're off the ground for some reason. I don't know, but
see that
from
wouldn't
what
make
from
sense.
what from what I've come across, that would be the most logical explanation. Is just that they're only meant to be viewed when you're directly beneath them, and this would also play into the idea that the stars are obviously navigational tools, and that makes perfect sense if you can only see them if you're on the the surface looking up in order to use them for navigation.
But then that would mean you wouldn't
Facts.
be able to see them when you're in a plane, but you can.
Yeah, but they're not meant for you to navigate with a plane.
You could. You can navigate using the North Star with a plane.
You just said once you get up above whatever, you know, you can't see them.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't believe they're that close either. And when we take balloons up, you see the surface, and then what people say is that it hits the dome, which means you would basically be sitting next to these projected stars.
No, that's not
And
necessarily true. You
I've
don't
never seen a
you don't
projection.
know if like for instance, I'm just going to use whatever numbers that they use for the Van Allen belts because right now I think it's kind of safe to say that this is the only dome that can be, you know, really truly represented.
And
But that
I believe
that
that
Van
could be.
that Van Allen belt, if I'm not mistaken, starts anywhere from between like I don't know, maybe like 5,000,
1,200.
well, whatever it is. Yeah, it's real. It's pretty close to the surface, and then it goes on like some astronomical number out to like 100,000 miles or some crap, whatever. But so if you take that into consideration, and that truly is what is considered to be the firmament and all that stuff, as far as stars or whatever takes place within inside that area there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's close to you. Not at all. you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I do. I have a good understanding of it. Now,
Like no,
what if I told you? So basically, what they say is that the Van Allen belt is part of what protects us, right?
absolutely.
Okay. What if I told you in 63, 62, they when they were doing all the shooting up all the nukes,
Hmm.
they had a thing called Operation Clover, something that's not in front of
Well,
me,
they were trying to like blow up the Van Allen belts.
the inner belt.
Yeah.
And what they found out is that basically they were just spreading the nuclear radiation. Um, they actually have a treaty saying you're not allowed to shoot nuclear weapons into space now. Yeah, so
Yeah, I can. I mean, you figured they had to be retarded in the first place to do something like that, but that's just how people are. They,
well, you got to remember, this is
they got to
another reason.
test and probe and probe, probe everything. It's crazy.
We'll put it this way: this is why I don't believe into the moon 100%. Like before, I knew we didn't, but now I don't even want to really like. I wouldn't argue it anymore with somebody because in 62, 63, 63, their way of getting to the moon was that we need to hit the Van Allen belt with nuclear weapons to be able to penetrate it to get through it.
Right.
One year
Now,
later, it didn't work, and then all of a sudden they figured it out.
right. And mind you, the moon is 240,000 miles away, and
Yeah,
it, it,
shot
and,
at
and that's well beyond the Van Allen belts. They ain't never been to no moon. And like I said before, another dead giveaway was whatever this camera was that they use. It's like a Bartlett or whatever it's called. I don't know, some old school camera. It used regular film, pretty much, just like an old camera that uses film. You got to get it developed. If it's exposed to light, shit like that, it gets fucked up. How can you go through the Van Allen belts? Is basically X-ray. It's like taking your camera through the airport back in the day. If you
oh
put it
no,
through
wait,
that X-ray
times it by
scanner, it will
times it by a half a
screw up
million.
all the film.
Yeah, but times it by a
So
half a
how
million.
so how did they fly through the Van Allen radiation belts twice, and the film was still good enough quality for them to take pictures that they didn't have a viewfinder for the camera, so they got perfect cinematic photos. Every photo was perfectly centered, but they had no way of telling what the photo was going to look like until they developed it. And then they traveled back through the Van Allen belts, and the photos survived intact.
Yeah, that makes. Or I got one better. I got one better for you. Ready? So with that said, in 1985 they tried it again. I'm pretty sure you probably remember the Explorer 1. Explorer 1 took some kind of magnet type thing that magnetizes radiation, flew up. The third broke, and supposedly this thing is still flying around. But that was their. They were gonna gather up the Van Allen belt, the inner belt. They were gather it up on these tethers, get rid of it. Now to me that says, one, you're not worried about meteors and all that kind of stuff. Why? Second, it's why are you doing these stupid experiments if you can comfortably get through them?
This just goes to show you the fact that when they realized that the barrier was impenetrable, they resorted to their missiles at it. That's your dead
Right.
giveaway right there. That they actually found something that they deemed impenetrable, that they reverted to use it or resorted to using the most powerful thing that they had, which was a nuclear warhead, and it
Yep.
did nothing.
And for everyone's information, when the they had two strikes into the Van Allen belt, and this is them reporting it. NASA and the government reported it. The big one that hit, they pecked that warhead so tight that half of the um, the northern hemisphere lit up 5 times brighter than the sun.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Um, I think that could happen just in general. The problem is I don't even think they have paperwork or documents. Oh shit, my bad. I have documents that would have said at what height the explosion was at, because that would give you a better idea of where this dome is if it was there.
All right.
Now to the fun part,
Well,
since we're on to
you can
go ahead.
probably, as far as the Van Allen belts are concerned, you can probably Google that and get an answer. Like I said, I think I want to say it's like probably around, I don't know, maybe 900, maybe less. It might not even be that high. I know 99 miles is considered low Earth orbit. That goes up to about maybe 200 and some change or so miles, maybe more. I don't know.
The Van Allen belt is
The Van Allen
okay.
belt is it should be more than 1,200 miles.
Where it begins.
The
It's
Van Allen belt
more than
is it's 500 kilometers, between 500 kilometers at its closest to 58,000 kilometers away at its outer layer.
So what's 58
So it's
kilometers in
about
miles?
600,
May
800, between 6 and 800 miles.
Okay, so it's just under 1,000.
Yes.
All right, so
oh
that's what
wait,
I.
that
Uh,
If
no,
500
I was just gonna
kilometers,
say that doesn't make sense because they said they can only go in low Earth orbit, and low Earth orbit is 1,200 miles.
but low Earth orbit starts at 99 miles though. It probably maxes out at
yeah,
1,200.
yeah,
But
that's fine.
low
Right.
Earth orbit starts at 99 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still a possibility for them to go there, and they can't go past the Van Allen. So I would
Well,
imagine it would be past 1,200 miles.
Well, it's inside the
the,
field.
the
Magneto.
magnetosphere. Well, they could go in low Earth orbit. They could go up to, like, for instance, if low Earth orbit ends at 1,200 miles, they could probably go up to, like, 1,100 miles.
Oh, I see what you mean. I think I see what
So,
you mean.
yeah. So it's like a zone or whatever. Now, when it comes to that Van Allen radiation belt, it starts at, like you said, like maybe 700 miles or whatever, and then it probably goes out as far as, like, 150,000 miles. And
Right.
then you got the moon at 239,000 just beyond that. But how do you get through that that super large range of radiation called the Van Allen belts? It's like, come on.
So You have the troposphere, which is basically what we are in.
The troposphere.
The stratosphere, which is 12 kilometers to 45 kilometers. The I don't even know how to fucking say it. MESOS.
Mesosphere. The mesosphere.
Yeah, mesosphere. It still fucking ruined it. And then from 85 to 600 kilometers is the thermosphere and the ionosphere. They kind of looks like what I'm looking at. They kind of play within each other.
They're stacked on top,
side by side. They're kind of side by side, I guess. So when you watch like I don't want to say documentary, anything basically balloons. When the balloons go up, you know that the blue to the dark where that mixture is.
huh?
Where, so when you look out on a, I'll just show you. Basically, when you look out when they do the balloon test and all that stuff, and they look out straight out over our plane, you can see what would appear to be space and Earth meeting, or atmosphere meeting. That
Right, I got you.
Okay, that's the thermosphere and ionosphere right there.
Talking about like that blue haze type deal.
Yeah.
That glow. I know what you're talking about.
That's what that is, yeah. Because I believe I think we go just that far. The problem I have is or the reason it makes more sense to me that all the fucking 24-hour live feeds always go out for hours on end makes sense that when they do go open, get to that bottom of that Earth, they don't want us to see it. For all we know, it made more sense. I'm not sure if you heard Dred's show today. They were talking about whether or not underground or hollow earth, those type of things. I think honestly that the elites have a bunker either under Denver or Antarctica. And now I'm not talking a bunker. I'm talking enough room to live forever.
I was just going to tell you, like, real quick, not only do they have bunkers, but the bunkers are connected underground. Like, they can easily go from, say, Washington or something all the way to California and never come above ground.
Right now, Camp Hilton is connected to Mark Air Force Base, which is 70 miles from Camp Pendleton. I've been in these tunnels, so I can only imagine what the top tunnels are like. I can only imagine what the elite camp tunnels are like. I do know they exist.
Maglev trains and shit.
I haven't seen those. The one I went through is basically the size. Well, you're on the East Coast. Anybody on the East Coast, the bridges you guys go under, big ass tunnels, it's about the same size, but underground. If that's basically how they get the warheads to and from wherever they got to go. And
yeah, I know
also take.
They travel from state to state.
Yeah, I've been in the tunnels before, so I do know. I know for a fact Camp Pendleton has one that goes to March Air Force Base, and there's 2 different roads, like tunnels, that branch off that one. So I don't know where those ones go, but there's 100% tunnels under our bases, under our cities. Andreas, they were talking about I know you've heard about it, Dre, the artificial sun patent.
Yeah, NASA got a patent for artificial sun.
Yes.
Yeah, that shit is old news.
Oh, yeah. I believe that is for underground living, because what a lot of people don't understand is you can't survive very long without some kind of vitamin D in your system, and the sun gives you vitamin D. So it would make sense for that.
Yeah, I guess you could get that from an artificial light source, but
you can get it from supplements and foods you eat.
But... Yeah, but I mean, as far as like the conversion that the body makes from vitamin D from the sun. I don't think that that's really possible with an artificial sun.
No, it
Because
is UV light. You grow weed with it. You put them over your reptiles.
yeah,
But
that's
you would
true.
but it would have to be a source large enough to give you this. I wouldn't even say they're trying to get the same amount, but it would be more cost effective to give people that never see sunlight the most amount of sun or UV rays that they can to help their health. Because what would happen is if there
Yeah,
was no
but
UV rays, a quarter of the population would literally would get sick. It was what I understand as being iron sick.
iron deficiency. Yeah,
Yeah, you turn
but
silver and
think of the application of that though. Underground though, you could easily do something like a fraction of the scale of this patent that they got for this
yeah,
artificial sun, and put it in locations you wouldn't have to have like one centralized big ass unit. They're
now,
talking about this thing it's like fucking, I don't know, like, is it 300 feet by 300 feet or some bullshit like that?
okay, but what if you knew you were going to be there for 100 years, and what if
Hmm.
you had to use nuclear technology
I
or
would still,
or
I would
atomic?
still, I would still just for the simple fact that if you're looking at it from a centralized perspective, then everybody's dependent on gathering in, a relatively uh, concentrated area in order to benefit from it, where you could probably string that same technology as far as the quality of light with the UV. You could string that throughout the hallways in each room or whatever, and people can get exposure to that artificial sunlight, so to speak, without having to have a big ass model like fucking hanging from the roof or ceiling some damn where. I don't necessarily see the I don't see the real application for something like that underground. It just, when they can package that technology in smaller units and,
Well,
do it like
maybe.
that.
Well, I think it's what it's got to be about 40 years old, right? The patent.
Probably older than that. It might be like, yeah, something like that. It sounds about right. I don't know for sure.
Oh, maybe just like let's blow up that Van Allen belt. Maybe we got to go big.
They ain't fucking with the Van Allen belt.
I'm just saying, just like their idea to do that, maybe
Hmm.
maybe go big or go home was the idea when they decided to go that route.
I don't know. It's something that kind of puzzles me. Just for some reason, to me, it kind of screams either one or two things. Either it's like some misdirection type shit, like let's just put it out there to get motherfuckers talking about it, get their minds going somewhere that's nowhere near the truth, or it's out there because they intended on using it for some kind of fucking like deceptive type shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
no, that's the
they're
problem.
gonna scare the fuck out of people and be two suns in the fucking sky one morning. You wake up eating some motherfucking toast and coffee and shit, and look up and there's two motherfucking suns in the sky. Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Okay, that brings me to the next one. You guys have seen that, right? The people that say they see two suns.
Yeah, I think that's bullshit.
Okay, thank you. Um, for me, it's all big. It is a big mystery, but I do believe interorbital. We do go to space. We do fire rockets, which brings us to the next one, which me and Dre have lightly touched. Um, and I'm actually willing to have this discussion now without having rage. Uh, Silica trees,
Uh,
or as I call them, uh, transformers. Because I didn't even know it until the other day when I'm looking into it. I told you I've done all the chemical breakdowns and all that stuff. I find out that the motherfucking transformers are
or
silica.
silica based,
Yes, yes, they are.
and they're alive.
Yep. But Dre, They're from another planet.
Yeah. And
So, what I was thinking,
What is that?
it's straight eating.
motherfucker, I ain't eating shit. I'm drinking, motherfucker.
What the hell are you drinking, and where are you pouring it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What are
It's,
you doing, B?
it's a motherfucking milkshake. A motherfucker can't shake a motherfucking milkshake and shit. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
Nah,
Well,
it sound like
hang
you're
on.
shaking the milkshake,
So,
but go
do
ahead.
you guys think you're able to hold on like?
Take it
Fucking asshole.
serious.
I was gonna ask him if he could hold down a conversation while I run out to my truck real quick, but obviously
Sound like you're over there making ice cream.
that's what old people do.
Where that don't sound
Because
right.
I gotta run out to my truck. So it's either I'm running to my truck and you guys are gonna have a conversation, or I'm gonna
Man, you look like a sack of dirty potatoes and shit.
or I could play some music and try to figure that out while I run to my truck real quick.
What the hell you going to your truck for?
Why?
He got hot
What?
when you heard you doing that other stuff.
You motherfucker trying. You probably gonna go get some motherfucking smoke and shit.
That's right. I'm gonna smoke some fucking weed. I'm gonna take a few hits off my fucking blunt
Puff
because
pass, motherfucker.
I will. You know I will, Dre. I do. I
Yeah,
do.
you be
If
fucking.
someone
You be
asks, I
fucking
will.
me up with that shit, though. You be fucking me up with that shit. Motherfucking email or motherfucking shotgun it. I'm like, oh, that's what's up.
That's right. Yep. You ask for a hit, I will send you a hit. That's how I roll.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm good right now, though, bro. I got a little something, you know what I mean?
Nick says in the chat, what if the second sun that everyone sees is the reflection of the sun off the dome? The problem with that, Nick, is that they're never in the same location. They're always
Could be. Well,
so far from
the reflection wouldn't be in the same location if it's reflecting off the dome. It would be
wait.
somewhere else.
So now there could be a reflection because I said that and you were like, no. What are you talking about? You're fucking wrong.
I didn't say that. I just said it could be a possibility.
Man, look at you. He got too happy.
You gotta remember, I don't necessarily think that the sun is a physical object. Like I don't think that it's a physical object at all. I mean, and if it is, I still do think on some level it's possibly coming from a sound source, which is creating the light that we perceive.
What creates the heat?
Well, when you have a sound source, something that works on a certain frequency, it's going to create that heat because it's energizing. You know, the atoms, the particles or whatever that are emitting the light particles.
Okay,
You know, get to moving and shit. It makes heat.
but if that was the case, it would be hotter the closer it was.
Say what?
So basically, the heat you feel is exactly what you're saying, where it heats up the particles and all that stuff. But it's not the intensity of the sun. It's the. See, I just started looking into it, so to explain it makes almost no sense.
Well, the heat you feel is more of a radiation response. It's not like the heat is literally traveling in like a beam from the sun to you, and it's warm the whole way there. It's the interaction between the surface, in this case, your body. We'll say, for instance, because your body can receive those photons and basically process them in the form of heat. You experience that heat. So it's not like I said, it's not like a beam of heat is traveling from the sun to the surface of the earth or whatever. If that were the case, especially with the heliocentric model, then outer space wouldn't be cold. It would be hot because all those rays of light would be heating the fuck out of it. So the heat transfer don't get down like that.
Okay, I see. In the chat, snow scream. When we say flat, we just mean not a ball.
Mm-hmm.
There's no side, there's no bottom. We live on top of the earth. Of course, there are mountains, but Mountains,
Mount
rivers, rocks, they're all movable. They are on a plane.
just piles of sorrel.
No,
You remember that?
basically.
Yeah, you
Oh
remember that
yeah.
motherfucker from the? He said, "That's just
Yeah.
piles of sorrel." We gonna talk about piles of sorrel? The fuck
Sorrel.
is sorrel?
I really do wish. I need one of them motherfuckers in my chat. No, but when you think of a hill, the hill may not have been there 1,000 years ago. The oceans may not have been in shape 1,000 years ago. So we're not saying it's a 2D, and we're not saying it's we're not on a board.
Sound like Dre choking a rat.
He says he don't smoke,
what
but
I'm
I think he
doing.
does.
Who don't smoke?
What is up, Dreads? Dreads in the house.
Shit, I smoke, motherfucker. I smoke like a motherfucking chimney, boy.
Yeah, you smoke cigarettes.
Why? Sound like your stepdad. Why?
Fortunately, I do smoke cigarettes. Unfortunately, I smoke weed too. Whatever. I wish I never picked up a motherfucking cigarette though.
Yeah, for real. But what we were saying, I just don't.
And I
I
still
don't.
can't believe you brought those heliocentric stuff with you when you converted it. Talking about the
Why?
moon is still 240,000 miles away. Talking about the sun is
Okay. Can you
maybe
distinctly prove that it's not? It's an
Dog Cam has
observation,
proved.
and I tell you right now, I have to verify it for myself. Hey, how you doing, Dred? Welcome.
What's good with you?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me mute it. 34 on Nintendo platforms, and I can buy them on the PC. And yet, when Nintendo gets a couple scraps, I keep my gaming news up. What's good?
Was
Just
good.
to figure things out.
I'm trying to figure out why he brought those heliocentric beliefs to flat Earth when he converted.
What happened?
Because he's upset because I have different views than flat Earth.
No.
That's
Don't try to
exactly
make
what it
me
is.
to be the bad guy.
You are the
I'm
bad guy.
Figure out how can you believe the sun and the moon is that far away on the
I did nope. Did not say the sun was 93. I said that doesn't. I can't fathom it being 93 million miles away. It doesn't make sense.
That shit ain't
The moon,
93 million miles away.
the moon being 230,000 miles away does make more sense to me with the size that they say it is.
But okay, look, I seen something recently. Like they used the P900 and they zoomed in on I think it was some mountain or something, and then they zoomed in on the moon, and it turned out that the moon was way more clear than the mountain.
Yeah.
And basically that doesn't make sense if it's that far away and you can zoom in on it so clearly.
Well, it depends. When you zoom to a mountain, there's more.
I mean, if you believe a P900 can zoom in that far, then yeah.
I think it's more atmospheric interference when you're going to a mountain and when you're looking up.
I'm saying, you think a P900? Do you believe a P900 zoom in on an object that's 93 million miles away?
Oh, not 93 million. I don't think it's that far. If anything, I think they're the same size. And if you want to say it that way, then it would probably be the same distance that the moon is. But I don't see it as it being that close. So close that it's local.
The sun is definitely local.
I can't. There's so much daytime.
It's the only way that day and night work on the flat model, the basic flat model that we all subscribe to. If the sun has to be close and local.
I think the way he's looking at it is when you use the term local, he probably look at it like you talking about, like, say I'm in my bedroom and the sun is in my bedroom with me. You gotta remember, we talking about local.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
we
shit
talking
be
about
down
local.
a lot.
Local,
Yeah, you feel me? We talking about a
I think
way
the clouds.
larger scale
Clouds are local.
than right there. You know what I'm saying? It's local on this plane. This plane is huge. So local on that scale is still a distance, but not
Oh yeah,
93
yeah.
shit, no.
Oh no. Yeah, see, 93 million. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Like, if I'm
I
not
get that part.
mistaken, I think the most conservative estimate, I guess, at the height, or the, the distance from the surface to the moon or the sun is like 3,000 miles or some shit like that. Somewhere in that neighborhood, from like 3 to 8,000 miles or something like that.
But see, at the
Somewhere in
same
there.
time, that 3,000 miles isn't that far either.
Yeah, it's not that far at all. I mean, technically, you think about it, but at the same time, there really isn't any place on the landmass where you can travel a straight 3,000 miles. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
you're right.
So
Yeah,
when huh?
I said, yeah, you're right. Can't.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, no, it's some places that might be close where you might be able to get that off, but it ain't too many places where you can travel like a solid 3,000 miles. So it's not that close, but it ain't fucking far at all when you talking about the sun or the moon and shit like that. So
I think
I don't
what
know.
it is, so when you do like the daylight time, the areas that are daytime and nighttime, in my head, when I'm thinking what the sun is able to hit, it has to be far. And I guess 93 million miles is impossible far to me, but 3,000 seems too close. So if I thought
No,
it was 10, would that be okay?
I mean, 10 to me would still be reasonable, though,
Yeah.
especially when in comparison to 93 million. But, but that's what, to me, that's the perfect explanation of your time zones right there, is because the sun is close to the ground, so to speak, or relatively close to the ground. That's why, like, it starts in the East Coast, it goes to the West Coast. That's why, like I said, in Jersey, I'm 3 hours ahead of California, because the sun is closer to me, so I experience high noon 3 hours before somebody in California will. You know what I'm
But
saying? But at the same time, we can still both see the sun in Jersey and in California.
we haven't always had that. I mean,
Well,
the time zones.
the time zones didn't exist until the introduction of the Gregorian calendar. So that's when all that shit came into play. But then when, like you said before, and I look at the Gregorian calendar, it's got 365 days. But that's some bullshit right there, because it's a cycle. It's 300. It's 360 degrees and a cycle. Whether it's a circle, a square, a triangle, everything is 360 degrees. How the fuck you come up with 365 days in a year? The beginning of the year is not January. The beginning of the year is actually like the spring solstice, when the motherfucking bunny rabbits and shit start fucking trees and plants and shit start growing. That's the birthing season. That's where you get the bunny rabbit and the fucking Easter eggs and all that bullshit come from. They got the calendar all fucked up. Then they added August and July, 2 months that don't belong up in the mix. So Gregorian in his system, they got shit all fucked up.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so
Well, so then the dome could be 4,000 miles up. Then
But wait. You just said the sun is 10. Okay, wait.
no, because what I'm
Yeah, you
asking,
did say.
is because the conception theory is that the sun and the moon are within 4,000 miles of the plane, right? So that would make the dome, for the people who believe it's inside the dome, the dome would obviously have to be that big.
Well, if that were the case, and say that the moon and the sun were located at 3,000 feet or whatever, or 3,000 miles, then maybe the dome would be at like 10,000 miles. Who knows? That's if the sun and the moon are within the dome. Like it says in the Bible scriptures or whatever. Anyway, actually, if I'm not mistaken, the Bible scriptures say that the sun and the moon are attached to the dome or the firmament. So depend.
Okay, I see.
But
But see that's why I think I have such a wide view on what could be and how it could be, and trying to figure it out, because there are so many different points of views on it, and I prefer, especially now that I've completely know I'm not on a ball. I don't want to make the wrong assumption and stick to one viewpoint, not really knowing.
Yeah, you don't want to be pigeonholed. You ain't supposed
Yeah,
to.
exactly. Because I know we're on a flat plane, because I've done 20 miles worth of using a mead line to know it's flat. I know it's flat for 100% fact. I've tested this on at least 15 different bridges that are supposedly built with geodetic survey and curvature, which is all bullshit. And
Yep.
I have yet to find any surveying where I would have to do that. That guy Gary made one truth to what he said, and that was that at some point of any surveying, the numbers start to skew. The problem is that we don't do 100-mile grade. It doesn't make sense. No one ever does it.
Nope.
And then if that does happen and our numbers do skew, we use offsets or we use mead lines. Mead lines is basically to find a point in the middle and use that as our zero. So you may not be able, if there's a valley or a dip and you have to run a straight grade across, you can't go down in a valley and expect to be able to measure 80 feet up. So you have to have a mead line, which is usually 10 feet, and then you just mark off. And that's why you do it in sections.
Well, it's
Or
like your benchmark.
100%. That's exactly what it is. And as a grade checker and an operator, it's your benchmark.
And you can't do shit on a construction site without a benchmark. And if your benchmark gets fucked up, that whole site is coming to a halt until that benchmark is reestablished.
Exactly. Well, as a surveyor, I find that benchmark, and to find benchmark, I have to use a mead line across a bigger area than your blueprint shows.
Right.
And for what he was saying, like the Golden Gate Bridge is probably the best example of me being able to do it. Very adamant that the Golden Gate Bridge was built with geodetic surveyors with curvature in mind because of the distance of the bridge. I've done everything. Where the towers sit and where the actual end of the bridge sits are basically the same elevations. If it was it was built on a curve, they would have to be the middle would be 40 feet higher than the edges. Now there's a hump in it, but just like a 40-foot trailer that carries
that's the crown. It's supposed to be there.
Has to
disperse the weight.
Exactly, and that's what that is.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
When that bridge was built, I can guarantee you there was less than 50,000 qualified people to do it. Now there's probably almost a million.
The Golden Gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Golden Gate Bridge.
Yes. I've done a few in New York.
At the time that was built, there might have been 20 in the country.
No, there's a lot more than that. There's a lot more than a lot of people realize. Surveying's been around since the 17, 16.
Oh, I thought you meant to engineer the bridge.
Oh no, yeah. The engineers that worked the bridge, there was probably a handful. But I'm just saying surveying, geodetic survey in general. Everything they did with sundials, all that's geodetic survey. You're surveying your land. It's either a small area or a big area. It's the only difference between a plane surveyor and a geodetic surveyor. If I'm building a freeway through a mountain range, a geodetic surveyor can do all those points, and after 50, 75 miles, 100 miles, can tell you where that end point's going to be much easier than a plane surveyor can. Plane surveyors can do it, but
Right.
they don't have the tools that take them
It's gonna
make
take
their
them forever.
yeah, they have to do more offsets rather
Yeah.
than longer distances. It's just
Mhm.
different equipment. That's all it is. Yeah, because uh, I have oh man, I have a trigger system. Basically, it's a station, total station, and a stick, a pole with a reflector on it.
Mhm.
My station hits the reflector, it bounces back to the machine, and I get my readings. Now, if I use a regular grading laser, I only have so far before that laser fades out or dips.
Yeah, about 400 feet usually.
That's actually a lot. I wouldn't even trust it at
Well,
400 feet.
when I was in construction, we like I laid a lot of pipe, and we would use lasers, pipe lasers, and our
Mhm.
beams were good up to 400 feet. They would maintain, a quarter inch diameter up to 400 feet. Then they started to spread. I mean, you could still use it, but when that beam gets to about a half inch, it's not really reliable. Not at all.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Even because that was one of the main reasons they started making plus and minus lasers for percentage. Um,
Yeah, where you could dial in the grade.
yes, exactly. Because
And that's exactly what we use for the pipe when we're laying pipe. We got
yep.
great. We could dial in up to a 4%, and
Wow.
a -4 and a +4. Yeah, that's
Uh,
pretty
uh, yeah, it's
pretty
extreme right
extreme.
there. I think the average is what 0.5 or one at the. I mean, one is like
A
it has to
one,
get it
if
has
you're
to
using
get somewhere.
yeah, if you're using a one, you're moving with a one. But
Oh yeah,
this is the type of deflection you can get with these pipe lasers up to
I think the
4% plus or minus.
I think the lowest percentage I've done is 12 or it was 0.12%, not 0.12 because that's 12%. It's 12. It's 0.12%. So it's very very little. Um, and as you would
That's
know, Dre,
hundreds. That's like
eh,
12
yeah,
hundredths, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah, it takes a very long time to do that job. Very long time. One
Yeah.
percent, you don't even. I don't think 1% you technically need to use a laser.
Well, over a long distance, just to maintain the proper pitch, you should. I mean, I could do it with I could do it with a 4 foot level just because I'm experienced enough to do it.
Well,
But
as an operator of 20 plus years, I don't need to
right,
do
because
1%.
you got the eye for it. Exactly.
Exactly. But that's in the construction world, people. 1% is a very obvious fall or rise. It's not
Yeah.
very difficult to do it without, um, especially when you're talking about drainage. Because when you're thinking about drainage, it all goes downhill. And that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
and then see the other problem I have is everything like you were saying, Jay. Why do I bring these things over? There are things that actually make more sense that others just don't want to take into account. Volcanoes is probably the best one. Um, Plates, the tectonic plates, they work better on a flat plane. Think about it. If you made a ball and you cut it just the surface of it, and you started moving them around, they would eventually break at the ends because the middle would always crest up. Not break, crest. It actually lift the whole thing up as it's going over the globe. But if they're
What?
flat, then they actually do have a way to float and slide like they do.
Where do
Well,
you think?
that's
Oh, my bad.
no problem. Real quick, I was just wanted to say, well, not I wasn't. I mean, I understand the plates. Just understand. I mean, it's because of the atmosphere, but at the same time, the atmosphere would image of the moon as well if that were the case. Because
Hey,
I understand.
start over because you were breaking up in the beginning,
Yeah.
and I was hoping it'd clear up and I'd understand it, but I don't even know what you're talking about at all.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, you're good. Just want you to start over.
Well, basically, what I was saying is, I understand the plates, but as far as the celestial bodies, the sun and the moon, now you said that it's because of the atmosphere, but I mean I disagree with that because
You mean
okay,
the the camera one you were talking about?
yeah,
Okay.
and you said I understand the mountain is in the atmosphere, but you have to see the atmosphere before you see the moon, so the moon would be distorted along with the mountain, if
Okay.
that makes
So
sense.
have you never been skydiving? Have you? That's
No,
the best way. Okay. When or what's the highest elevation you've been on a mountain?
I've been on a plane 28 to 30,000
Uh,
feet.
You have to. I mean, what's the highest elevation you've been where you're breathing, like outside,
Uh, I've been
regular
uh in
sea level?
the building or something.
Okay, okay, no, okay. So if you go to a mountain that is, what's it say, 12,000 feet high, the air is thinner there, which
Uh,
means there's less atmosphere, less everything. The lower elevation you go, the thicker it gets. You know when you're driving down a road and you see the waves,
yeah,
that will be considered atmospheric interference. So things like that you see going to a mountain with a camera. But when you look up, you look actually now focusing in through thinner atmosphere.
You're looking through less
Less,
atmosphere.
there's less interference. It's just no matter what happens, that's just how it is.
Like just imagine a piece of glass, like a flat sheet of glass. Now you're beneath the glass and you're looking up. Now just imagine standing on the side of the glass and you're trying to look through the whole sheet of glass through the little thin edge. It's kind of like that. You're looking through. When you're looking horizontally, you're looking through the atmosphere. It's more thick than when you look through it vertically. Your vision clears the thickness of the atmosphere with the rise in height. Where when you look horizontally in front of you, the amount of atmosphere increases, so it becomes harder to look through it.
but my thing is okay. Let's use smoke as an example. Let's say smoke is the atmosphere, and as the higher you go, the less smoke it is. Now, not dense smoke, but smoke. Period. Now, all around you, 360, you look up, down, left, right. You have nothing but smoke. So my thing
But
is like it's still around you. So wherever you
yeah,
look,
but
that's what you can see.
as it rises,
Yeah,
it,
but you're
it
not
just makes
rising with it. So your vision is limited to the smoke only.
I,
Well,
I
see,
think you're looking at it as smoke, not smoke. You need to look at it like you ever see the smog layers?
mhm,
Wait, you breaking up. What'd you say?
I said
the
when you look at
smog layer
over
is how it looks like a flat cloud. It just looks like a
a
sheet
brown
of
cloud like
smoke.
pollution,
A flat cloud.
The
or
smog,
you know,
Wait, you still breaking up.
talking about smog, fog. I know you've seen fog.
Oh, smog. Yeah,
Okay, so you know how it sits in that layer.
yeah.
Okay, well the thickness of the air does the exact same thing. So in layers, it gets thinner.
But what I'm saying is, if you're okay, look, I'm saying like if you're on the bottom
Okay,
layer and you look up,
okay. And you look okay, but you're looking up through less. Now, how far was this mountain? Look, that's the best question. How far was the mountain from the camera?
I didn't pay attention to that.
The
I've
difference,
never
because
heard.
um,
I thought I heard somebody say it was like 200 miles or something like that or some shit.
Because so if 200 miles away, no matter what, that's exactly what the issue was. Because at 13,000 feet, where people skydive at, the air is much thinner than down on sea level, and that's at just 13,000 feet. That's just at 2 miles, maybe a little bit above.
Okay, I got a better. I got a better one. Okay, imagine that each layer is a color.
Okay.
The color where we're at is let's say blue or any color blue. Let's go with blue. Now the other colors get kind of they change colors. The next layer would be orange. The next layer would be red. Now when you
How
look
about
around you,
just use all blue? Start with a real dark blue at the bottom and then just progressively gets lighter blue as you go to the top.
no, I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere with this. Let me you gonna see where I'm going. But basically, where I'm going is okay. The first layer is blue. The second layer is red. Now, when you look all around you, it's blue. But when you look up, it should be purple. If that makes sense,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
because
didn't.
you see the blue around you along with the layer above it. You can't just dismiss the layer that you're in. You have to see that layer along with the layer above it.
All right,
You see what I'm sharing?
so now this is what I was trying to get you to see, Jay. Now, if you were to use like dark blue at the bottom, and then it gets a lighter blue above that, then even lighter blue above that, then even a lighter blue, all the way to nothing where it's clear. The thing what Sean is saying, you're down at the lower level looking through all this dark blue horizontally, as opposed to looking up, and the color gradually lessens so you can see further because you're looking through less, as opposed to looking through that solid band of dark blue that's down at your level. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be easier to see through dark blue that has less color as it progresses higher in the sky, as opposed to just looking through the dark blue, period, if that makes any sense.
Can you see my screen,
Yeah,
Jay?
yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, yeah. There we
Okay.
go. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. So from Earth through the troposphere up is nowhere. 200 miles would be around what we were talking about. 200 miles is above the stratosphere or in the stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
Looking through that layer, the first layer, and then the second layer, which is still thinner. Whereas in 200 miles along the troposphere, it's still that thick. It's going to be thicker looking out, straight out, than looking up
Mhm.
for focus purposes. That's why the moon looks so clear compared to a mountain.
I agree with that. Like I completely understand where you're coming from. So, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a minute to grasp. I just can't see as in like because that color blue will still be above you, so you'll see purple
Okay, better yet,
basically.
thinking sky isn't blue.
Yeah, right. It's just the thickness of the air, the atmosphere that you're looking through. I was just using the dark blue for as an example, because it's like you just imagine trying to look at something at a distance through a dark blue color. It's gonna be like you ain't gonna see too much. Whereas as if
And
you're looking through a a thinner layer of that dark blue, and you're looking up, and eventually it just gets progressively lighter. You're going to be able to see better looking through less above you
yeah,
than you are going to be able to see looking horizontally out in front of you.
and we know that blue is less than 200 miles from where we're standing.
Right, exactly. It might be 6 miles of blue that you're trying to look through, as opposed to 200 miles of
Yeah,
blue. That was a perfect example right there that you just said. Definitely, I definitely agree with that.
I have to like watch. I just have to watch a couple YouTube videos. I mean, I kind of understand where y'all coming from. It's just that part that part just won't push me over the edge.
We'll try to kind of think it like this: like when you look out in front of you, you're looking through the dust, the moisture, the smog, the smoke, exhaust fumes from vehicles. You got all that stuff you're looking through. Whereas
Right.
when you look above you, you might only be looking through some dust and some moisture or whatever that's in the air. You're not looking through as much atmosphere because you're looking up through the layers as opposed to looking on the same plane or through that layer or into that layer.
Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. But depending on how they're form. Well, what am I trying to say? Depending on how they spread out. Depending on how they spread out, when you look up, even though you said it's all that stuff spread around the whole atmosphere, I would imagine it would be above us as well. So even when you look
Mm-hmm.
up, I understand you're looking through less, but you should still see the characteristics of those things in the atmosphere.
Well, you might not necessarily. You could probably eliminate a lot of the smog because smog is something that stays lower to the ground. You could probably eliminate any kind of vehicle emissions because there ain't no cars driving above your head.
Right.
So like I said, and like the key thing is though that you're looking through the layers as far as a profile is concerned, as opposed to looking into the layer. When you're looking through the layer, you're looking through less as opposed to when you're looking or peering into the layer on a horizontal or lateral type vision. You're just looking through a lot less. Yeah. It's like trying to, like you said before, it's like trying to look through 200 miles of dark blue water or trying to look through 6 miles of dark blue water, even though you ain't going to see shit in either one. You got more of a chance of seeing a lot more through the opposed to 200.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I'm definitely coming in loud and clear on that one.
Yeah.
Man, that took us all the way somewhere else. But uh, about Sean and his basically, I just can't understand the distance. Like I don't. It doesn't have. Basically, it doesn't. If it's that far away, it really must be huge. If it's as far away as Sean is saying, then it must really be huge. And I disagree that it's really that big. I think it's just close and small, rather than it be far away and huge.
How
I
far
see.
away
I
do
think that
Sean? How far away do you think it is?
230,000.
uh, everything
The
is.
sun.
Yeah, I I would say the same distance as the moon,
The,
best because they do look the same size.
so how far is that?
I, I would say between 150 to 230,000. See, the problem
Yeah,
I think is that a lot of people can't visualize that distance, therefore it doesn't exist. And I think that's part of the problem. I don't think that justifies a proof behind how far it is.
but have you to be that far away?
Say again? How do I
Have
feel it?
you
Well,
perceived?
what makes me think it's that far?
No,
Um,
have you perceived it to be that far away?
yes, because the amount of sunlight given off to the Earth would take something bigger than what I believe everyone else has said it is.
Or
Now,
something smaller and closer?
put it this way. So
Right.
you know how big they say it is at 93 million miles away?
Yeah, like a
Because
100 times the size of
yeah,
Earth.
yeah, because at 93 million miles away, it has to be that big to possibly do what it does. Okay, but if it's smaller, then it doesn't have to be so far. It has to be closer. But to be as close as you're saying it would have to be a lot smaller than I believe would would light up half the world.
Well, from what I understand, they say it's like 3,000 miles upwards
Three
to
to
like,
six.
yeah, 3 to 6,000 miles in the sky, and if I'm not mistaken, I want to say 30 miles wide. Um, so
I think
you
so.
know, uh, to me that makes a lot more sense, and particularly when night and day is considered, that would be the case as opposed to it being even 100,000 miles away, and being whatever size it would possibly be, because it couldn't be like anything like what I just said, or even 90, what, or 400 and whatever it is, 32,000 miles in diameter. It would, it just it makes more sense to me on
Okay.
the flat model.
Okay.
Uh,
So
and they
Right.
well, no, no,
but
it
how they come
100%.
but how they come up with this distance though is through is through the angles of the corpuscular rays. When you put the geometry to it, this is how they come up with the result of 300 or whatever, 3,000 miles.
Okay, but here's the thing. So they say they know or before we had telescopes, they said they knew how big the sun was and how far the sun was based on their measurements, right? Now they're basically guys that can do the same thing now on flat Earth and say it is 4,000 miles away, right?
Right.
The reason for that is because it is possible to have different viewpoints on measurements. So does that make 93 wrong, or does that make 4,000 wrong, or does it mean who knows?
Well, yours. The problem I have with it is it's unnecessary for it to be that far away. It's like if this system is really that's as well, if it's small for the people who believe that there's a dome, if it's really as small as
No, wait, Jay. Now, if there is a dome, which I don't believe at all there is, and we don't know how far past the wall this land goes, and it is 100% possible that the quote unquote dome is that fucking big.
but okay, but when you move the sun further back and you make it bigger, then that means like if you take a spotlight and you move it back, but you somehow make it bigger, then it covers more. So
Yes,
if it would make sense that it'd be close and small, like
but
overnight.
remember, it lights up half Earth.
But just think about that though. Just the simple fact that if it were that big and it were that far away and it lit up half the Earth, we wouldn't have a need for time zones, because
Or
everybody that's in the lit up portion would be experiencing high noon at the same time. The only place
no,
that there would
that
be a
would be if
discrepancy would be at the terminator line.
that would be if it was directly above us or local like you guys wanted to be.
No,
I
no.
mean, no, it wouldn't have the same. It wouldn't have the same noon, but
If
no
that
matter what,
if
there'd be a Terminator line. We know
Yeah,
there's a
but
Terminator line.
if that sun was 93 million miles away, or if it was, 46,000 or 46 million miles away, it would still be far enough away at either size that it would cast its light on half of the so-called planet at all times. You know what I mean? It would be high noon wherever there's light. Why we have time zones is because the light source is close to the surface, relatively close to the surface, and as that light source passes over each individual, whether you call it a state or whatever, has their high noon. That's why time zones exist. If the sun was as big as they say and even further away than what most flat earthers believe it to be, there would be no need for a time zone. You can't do away with the time zone.
Oh, you definitely can. You don't need it.
No, you can't because because like I said before, now pretty soon, 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun will be coming up around here. It ain't coming up nowhere near you at those 6 o'clock in the morning in California.
Okay. Nick, under the ether, he's in the same time zone as me. It gets dark at 9:30 for him. It gets dark at 8 o'clock for me.
Where is
Yeah,
he?
I understand that,
Oregon.
but that just tells me that during the day, when he's experiencing high noon, you're still in what would be an angular position. That would classify you as receiving maximum overhead sunshine. So yeah, you can still be in the time zone and experience a difference in daylight.
But that's what when you said it's 6 a.m. for you, it's nowhere near light for me. It's the same thing. It's just it takes longer in our distance.
Yeah, but what I'm
A
saying
time
is,
the time
if
zones
that
are only a convenience. It's not
no,
necessary.
no, if that sun was far enough away to light up half of the so-called globe at one time, that whole lit surface would be experiencing the same intensity of sun.
Okay. If that was the case, then half wouldn't be what it lights up. You know what it is? I'm thinking half of being lit up as a globe, not as flat.
Yeah,
Because
well,
no matter how
the
no matter
reason,
how big, you're only going to be able to shine half of a globe. My bad.
but no, I'm just saying,
That
but
helps a lot now.
in the flat model, because
You're right.
the sun is relatively close to the surface,
It
it
has to
can
be.
light up
Yep.
the
I know. That's what I'm
surface.
saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I wasn't thinking the correct way of half. Whereas then I'm thinking half a ball because half a ball, the other half is facing the complete opposite direction. But if I put
Yeah,
a plate down, then it's not long, just no longer that way.
right.
And I didn't even realize I was thinking that way. Damn, I gotta rethink that whole thing. Yeah. Hey, that's what we're doing. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Facts.
Okay, I see exactly how it is.
It's just
That
the whole idea of uh,
Well, hey,
making making the system unnecessarily big. Because I mean, I would imagine. I don't know. I don't obviously I don't have the mind of the creator, but I would imagine that the system shouldn't need to be unnecessarily bigger than it has to be. So putting the moon at 200,000 miles away, that that's kind of stretching it out when you can put it closer and smaller
okay.
where it's
How
the
about
job's
this?
done way.
everything
On
is
a flat.
within the system somehow.
Okay, we'll put it. Now what we need to do is we need to figure it out number wise because for a fact, we know that the to circumnavigate flat Earth, it's 49,680 miles, right? So half of that is is 15. No wait, it's which wrong number? It is
It's like 24 and some change or something,
yeah
isn't it?
24 800. It's 24,840. So if you if we did an imaginary scale model, we would measure 24,000 or let's say 25,000, right, across. Then we scale the light out to 24,000. Then we would have to figure out the angle of how it goes around and then do the numbers up. And that would actually tell us how far and how big the moon is, or the sun is. I'm sorry.
But there's no way to
If
test
Oh, there's definitely a way. Oh, definitely there is. All you
if
need,
I'm if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that there's an argument out there, and I think it's pretty valid, that you truly can't triangulate the sun, even though people use the term when they say that you can trace it back with the crepuscular rays. That's not truly triangulation.
Yeah. Okay, before you say that, Jay, you need to understand, and Nick in the chat, because you asked me this too. You guys need to understand that no matter what, because this is like the last globe argument I had on this. Light runs in a straight line until it reflects off something. Clouds have water in them, reflects. So every time you guys would show me, this is before, every time you guys, and actually even now, every time I see it's flat and I see nothing but clouds, or explain the light rays and it's through clouds, it does nothing for me. It doesn't prove anything except for the fact light does bounce off water molecules. That's all
See,
there is
but
to it.
what you need to realize about the crepuscular rays is the rays that you see are not rays that are hitting the clouds. They are the rays that are shining through the openings in the clouds.
Okay, that's
They're
not
not.
true. If that was the
No,
case,
that is true.
okay, so I'll pull one up, but I can show you that's not true, because if it's true, then that means the rays that are pointing down should be the only light source. You should not see any rays coming across the clouds either, right?
No, the fact is the light rays that you see are coming through openings in the clouds. If you don't have a clear enough path to be for the light beam to be apparent, how can you see it if it's being blocked by the cloud? Those are openings in the clouds, whether the clouds are thin or they actually have holes in them.
Then what would
That's
need to happen is someone would need to show me, take a picture of those that composite rays, and then get in a boat or travel to wherever it is and take a picture straight up showing me the sun above, because it does not work that way. That's the
it,
exact same reason you see.
and this is why I told you there's a very valid argument out there that you can't triangulate the sun, because when you try to triangulate it, it basically it moves on you according to your position.
But see,
So
that's the thing. I wouldn't.
I
You can't.
understand what you no, I understand what you're saying, but the simple fact still remains that the crepuscular rays that you see shining through the clouds are in fact shining through the clouds. They're not bouncing off the cloud surface or being diffused by the cloud in any way. This is why they come down on the straight angles that they do, because the light is being allowed to pass through the cloud.
I don't think it's passing through. I think if that was the case, why does it on our
It's
so on a
absolutely passing
so what
through.
you're saying? It's not passing through. It's bouncing. It's going through openings,
Okay,
and
so if
it's
I
in
have
different directions as well.
so,
In one local spot, you can see light rays bouncing across each other.
so if I have a spaghetti strainer and I fill it up with spaghetti and then I pour water on it, does the spaghetti strainer allow the water to go through?
So what you're asking me is will the water drain through and shoot sideways out of it or straight down?
No,
Light
I'm
does
just
not work the same way. Because
I'm
I
just
know, because the marble had the same experience.
I only say that to say this, that just
Talk
because
to D Marvel, and I explained to him the exact same thing. Light does not work the same way as water, and a flashlight doesn't work the same way as the sun.
all right, well, I only said that to say this, that just because there's a barrier doesn't mean that something else can't pass through. I know the difference between light and water. I know that they act in two completely different ways. So that wasn't the purpose of that analogy. I'm just saying that the only way that you can perceive light is if it passes through whatever is blocking it. If the
Because the
light's
thing,
not if the light's
just like
not
your
being
strainer, say again. You gotta say it again. You
Just
broke
saying,
up.
I was just saying, if the light's not being allowed to pass through, you're not going to be able to see the angle of the rays. If the light is being allowed to pass, then you can see the angle of the rays. This is how crepuscular rays are created.
Okay, but the problem is that when the sun hits a cloud, it bounces off the water molecules as well.
Yeah, this is why you see crepuscular rays, because the rays that aren't being blocked are being allowed to pass through. This is why you see rays and you just don't see a solid band of light, because the other rays are being blocked. The ones that shine through are the ones that are being allowed to pass through the cloud.
Okay, are they being allowed to pass through the cloud in one direction only, or are they bouncing in different directions?
No,
Because
they're passing through the cloud according to the direction that they left their light source.
so you're saying that when the sun hits the clouds and it has an opening, it does not bounce off the clouds.
You just broke up.
I said, okay. So what you're saying is when the sun shines down through the clouds and it finds an opening, you're saying that the sunshine rays don't bounce off any clouds.
No, absolutely they do. What I'm telling you is, when you go outside on a sunny day and there's no clouds, you see like a orange glow completely around the sun, right?
Okay. Yep.
That's because nothing is blocking the sunlight or the sun rays that are expanding outward from the source. Now, when you put the cloud in a mixture, those beams are still
Okay.
emanating out in 360 degrees, just like you
Hmm.
see on a sunny day. The only difference is you don't see that solid halo effect around it. You only see individual rays of light that are being able to pass through the cloud. This is how you see the angle of it.
But your
It's
description of it already proves it wrong.
say what?
Your description of it proves it wrong. So if it has a 360 degree and all so 360 degrees and every part of that 360 degrees is light rays, correct?
Yeah.
No, no, no. I need to find a picture because I can't explain it without being able to show you what I mean.
I mean, it's simple. It's just like if you look at a circle has 360 degrees. Each one of those, if you take and you draw lines through the whole circle and turn it into a pie, basically, you can keep dividing that into increments. Keep dividing it into increments. The sunlight, the rays that come off the sun travel in the same manner. Now, when you start to block them with things like clouds, if there's an opening in the cloud, wherever that opening is, the light is going to shine through that cloud on the angle according to where it's coming from the source. So when you see crepuscular rays, those streaks of light that you see are the result of openings that the cloud is allowing that light to pass through. The rest of the cloud is blocking the light. This is why you see streaks. It's not a solid band of, you know, a halo. It's just like you see a streak of light. Then you go up a couple, notches here. It's a streak of light. You go up a couple more notches. There's a streak of light, and they're all on slightly different angles.
Okay, I
I
want to show
don't
you.
understand what's so hard to understand
No,
about
I want to show you this, and I'm going to show you the problem I have with what I'm presented with when these conversations are happening. So this is exactly what you're talking about, right? I'm about to show you. Can you see it, or do I present a little bit better?
Yeah, I can see that. Now you see how it looks like one, two, three. It looks like five different lights,
Yes.
right?
Let me explain something. That is not 100% real picture.
Say what?
That's not real. That's not a picture someone took, and that's how it is. That's my problem.
Okay, well, pull up one that's actually real.
Okay, but I'm saying these are the type of things that I when I was Glover I came across all the time.
But what you see in that picture, even though that according to you that's not real,
It's cleaned up.
that's exactly how it goes though. Where you see the light shining through the clouds, it's because the cloud isn't either dense enough to block it, or there's actually an
Okay.
opening where there is no cloud that allows the light to pass through.
Okay. So if it was right above, and that cloud is the way it is, shouldn't those light beams go straight down? And then if it
Yeah,
didn't go, and then if it
if the only
go
way
ahead,
that those rays would be parallel if that light source was further away. If it was 93 million miles away, those light rays would be straight up and down vertical. But because they're on an angle, the way that you see it tells you that the light source is close. That's why the rays splay out the way that they do, because the source of light is close.
why, well, why wouldn't they do that the same if it was further away? They're gonna
Because the further away the light source is from the observer, the more parallel the light rays would be. So that's why I was telling you that if the sun was 93 million miles away, everybody would experience high noon at the same time, because everybody would be receiving that parallel sunlight at the same intensity all day. Now, what you
not if it's far enough that
uh
it, not if it's far enough that it does. Because okay, let's just pretend sun is as big as they say. Just pretend, because I don't even think it is. And it's, let's say, 100 miles from Earth. You're not. It's going to be everything. It's not. You wouldn't see whatever side of Earth it is on. You would just see
if
sun.
if the sun was the size that they say it is, and it was 100 miles from Earth, you'd be burnt to a crisp.
Okay, let's use the moon. I'm going more on suns now rather than hot and cold. So what I'm saying is, if it's that big, it's gonna obviously light up everything, right? But the further back you go, the less it's gonna be.
Well, that just means the further away it is, the less
Like,
intense the light would be, and the more the light splays out in a triangular direction. It's just like when you have a flashlight on the floor and you pick it up about an inch off the floor, the light is real focused in a tight circle. You pick it up to about 3 feet, that circle turns into about a 5 foot circle. You pick it up to like 7 or 8 feet, that circle on the floor turns to about 12 or 14 feet, and then eventually it gets to the point where you can't even distinguish a circle on the floor no more. You just see diffuse light. So the
okay,
intensity changes the further away it gets.
okay,
You
I
can't
got a
get
question
the
for that. So we stay right there. Hang on, I gotta ask you this. So we stay in the same scenario. If one flashlight uses D size batteries and the other one is an LED, and it's 60% smaller than the D size battery one, doesn't the LED still have more power? Doesn't it still shine more? Doesn't
no,
it? Won't you?
not
You'll still have it.
necessarily.
Yeah, 100%. You'll still have that. You'll have a light, more of a light beam higher the higher you go than that D powered one will, because the smaller
It's
one has
still
a strong source. So
Yeah, but
you can't say
it still
you
doesn't
can't say the
change the
size
fact
is the issue.
that the further away the light source moves, the less intense the light is.
Okay, but what if the light source is so intense that it can be that far and still be what it is?
Right, now, if it was that far and that light was that intense, when it reached the Earth coming through the clouds, it would be perfectly uh, vertical, straight up and down, parallel. This is the problem when it comes to the sun being far away, is because the light that's hitting the surface isn't parallel. If the
And you're
sun
using
was
you're okay. You're using everything as high noon right now, right?
Well, no, I'm going strictly off of the crepuscular rays right now. Screw high noon. That's just that's kind of like some icing types, some icing on the cake
No,
type deal.
because like this
But
one right here, if this still has distance, so light rays still run straight, but that's like saying because it's way over there, the rays aren't going up, the rays aren't going down. Still, they're only going straight across.
see, now with this photo right there, if that sun was truly 93 million miles away, those streaks of light that you see should all be perfectly straight in a line all the way across that photo.
But what if at that distance it's not? Because at 93 million miles away, it's still going to have a source.
Yeah, you're not gonna get angular light rays. You're gonna get parallel light rays because it's so far away. It would be impossible for those angular rays to come from a light source 93 billion miles away.
Or what if it's because of the clouds that's doing that?
No, it's not doing that because of the clouds. The clouds are just revealing the angle of the light coming from its source. The clouds are revealing that by blocking certain light particles from reaching the viewer. If those clouds weren't there,
Then how come?
you wouldn't see those streaks. You would just see clear sky.
And why do you believe that that would have something to do with it then?
Say
I mean, have
what?
something to do with.
I don't know what you said. You still there, man?
Sean G. I think he crying.
He fell off. Don't tell me you Googling, Sean.
He Googling. He muted his mic so he can go Google. Like, man, I'm getting tired. I'm just gonna Google it. He said, forget it.
He ain't gonna come back and cut me.
He was like, yeah, see, I knew you was lying. I just Googled it.
I ain't lying. I'm trying to tell the brother. He know. I don't know what he thinking.
Yeah, I don't even. Y'all lost me a long time ago. I'm over here trying to land on Mars.
You stupid. He said y'all lost me a long time ago, man. This stuff is simple, yo. He said
Yeah.
landing on Mars.
I am. I'm over here on Mars.
Yeah, I know I'm about to go land my ass on Mars. That's for damn sure. I'm about to pack it in.
He said he about to land on Mars. Come on, man. Oh man. Why she try to blame it on me? Why
Yeah,
she more like
how
Jay?
how Jay? Yeah, he sniped this off, Jay.
Real, he
he,
gonna try to blame me, I bet you.
he was trying to shoot me and pull the cheddar bob. He shot us off. Damn.
He shot himself. Oh my gosh. Where they do that at?
Hey Sean, you did the cheddar bob, man. Where you at, bro?
Why she gonna try to say I did that? I guarantee you he gonna try to say it. I'm over here playing my game. I ain't do nothing.
Yeah, he gonna be like,
Are
yo,
we
why you
still
do that?
live on
Yeah, I
that?
think so. I don't know because I can't see the chat, but
Let me see.
I
Get on
don't
my phone.
know.
Damn, my phone dead. I can't even. Come on, Sean G, where you at? That'd be crazy if Sean was sitting in his own chat. Get
He's
on the
talking about he
panel.
got banned.
Right.
He gonna be like, yo, Jay, why you ban me?
I guarantee you, he probably gonna link it to me. Like, oh, Jay, you did some good. Like, hey.
Yo,
I'm not letting no.
how you disappear from how you disappear from your own live stream though? That's
Right.
wild.
Like, how you just leave your own live stream like that? Bit out.
But just crepuscular rays, it wasn't even serious.
I think he just crying. Just let him get it out. He'll be back. You remember how that he used to come over there trying to debate, and then you look him in the face and like he about to cry.
Yeah. Oh shit! Let me stop. Yo, come on, man. It's too late for this shit.
Man, about to get in the car and start crying. He probably went in the truck.
Yeah, I'm about to go to bed. You gonna have my blood pressure up, man. Chill.
Hey,
Oh
I'm
shit! He said
just
he in the
putting it
car.
Yeah, he in the. No, he in the truck. He in the truck.
Oh shit!
Yeah, man, he in the truck. He said, "You know what? Nah, He said he probably turned the whole computer off, the whole 10.
See,
Man.
I gotta talk him into to going live about these silica trees though.
Man, he's still trying to debate with Legendary about tree vaginas and all that.
Oh, he talking about them densified joints. He said tree vaginas. Yo, did you see the? Yes, I know.
Rock.
Yeah, I know you seen the one picture that joint looked just like it looked like a big ass like a rock coochie. Yo, that joint looked real to the mug. Well, I was like, word. It's
Oh,
crazy, but I can't imagine though that was actually some real skins. I'm just like, come on, man.
yeah, y'all wild.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
crazy. Oh look,
for no reason.
yeah, but nah, I thought we was gonna chop it up about these, cause I don't know, man, where he go? Cause I'm about to go to bed.
The trees you smoking or what?
Nah, yeah, that too, but we ain't talking about them. We ain't talking about them trees.
He said we ain't talking about them tree, boy.
Hell no. Talking about them silica trees.
There he is.
There we go.
Oh, he back.
Yeah, finally. What the hell?
Yeah, fuck, I completely dropped the fuck off.
Yeah, see,
I
man,
thought
we
you was.
we we.
I thought you was gonna
J-
say it was me.
No, I was gonna ask you, no, but like, what? Seriously, was it or no? Not at all. It wasn't you.
No, 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 no. If it
Okay.
was me, you wouldn't be able to
No,
come back.
yeah, no, that's why I'm trying to figure out why it happened. I didn't know if it was my connection or what, but okay. I'm not blaming you. I just wanted to know.
Thought you
Yeah,
banged on yourself. What, you just got disconnected or something?
Yeah, I just lost the signal. I got to get back to
Damn.
the I got to get back to the chat before it shuts down. Hang on.
Yeah,
yeah.
All right, we're good.
you gonna have
Now
to
we're good.
crank up. You gonna have to crank up another joint so we can get into about them silica trees, man.
Yeah, oh yeah. Damn, I didn't even realize we've been doing this for almost 3 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to take my ass to bed. I gotta hit
Yeah,
the
well,
plantation in the morning.
yeah, shit. Well, I definitely appreciate, but well, I don't appreciate Jay as much. He didn't talk very much to this one.
Hey, y'all lost me, man. I'm over here trying to land on Mars. Y'all niggas talking about some other stuff. I'm like, hold up, man.
No, it was another good build. I'm happy with it. So
Yeah, man. I wish you would go on earlier, more often and shit. You be, once I take my Geritol, pack it in for the, I'm done. You know what I mean? Motherfucker,
well,
you
that's
be on
because
some, you be on some other shit,
normally
some
it's
California shit.
well, the thing is normally I'm waiting behind Dreads or I'm waiting behind someone else's stream. Whereas this time when I went on, I didn't even check to see who else was on. I didn't care.
Yeah, true that.
Mr.
Yeah,
So
shit.
that
Sometimes you just gotta do you.
yeah,
It
that's
ain't
what I
like
started doing.
it
Because
ain't like
that,
you step on nobody's toes. You know what I mean?
or even more importantly, it's not because I'm still learning. I'm not chat savvy enough to be in here and in the chat because I'm pretty sure you guys noticed certain times where I just was like not there. I was obviously not paying attention or or something along those lines,
Right.
and that's because that's when I'm focused on the chat trying to see what's happening there instead of still staying engaged. Like I said, man, I give all the props in the world to Dreads and all that. I don't know how the fuck they're able to do it. Um, it seriously is like a skill. It's not something you can just do.
I recommend you get Nightbot.
What I
Nightbot, you can.
know what it was. I don't understand how they're doing that, and I have slow mode on.
Nah, listen, just get Nightbot. I'll show you how to set it up. That robot will anybody who's even look like they about to spam. Bam. Like you get
Okay.
one upside the head. That bot don't play at all. And you
Okay.
can
Then I'll do that.
tell it to say messages every 5 minutes you want it to say, and don't forget to hit that like button. It'll say it every 5 minutes, and it has a little filter
Hang
that
on. And I sent that the hangout to you so you can come in and just chill. I'm gonna end it soon, but I'm gonna probably end the broadcast more than the chatting. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, say if you wanted to say, don't forget to like and subscribe every 5 minutes. It has a little filter. Like, if nobody's typing, then it won't spam the chat. It'll wait till somebody says something first, then it'll say it. But it's a
Okay.
pretty good bot. I'll show you how to set it
Okay.
up if you want it.
Yeah, yeah. You're not dipping out, are you? Because then I'll end the podcast and I'll just share my screen and you can help me.
No, I'm not leaving out. I'm gonna be up. I don't have to work tomorrow.
This motherfucker.
Huh?
McDonald's gives days off.
Oh shit.
Wait, hold on.
Boy, your motherfucker is crazy. Oh shit.
Okay, your little head.
What you said?
Oh man. Huh?
No, I was telling Titan that I had sent him the link so
Oh
that
god.
he can jump in. Well, I'm gonna end this right now anyway. Old man Gravy over here is tired, and that the connection thing kind of took me out of the whole build. You know that
Fuck you.
that focus to build. Oh well, hang on. Everybody, fuck you, love you, gotta go.